Hello, this is Professor Sarter, and I am working on practice test 3 for intermediate algebra. This is question 6. In this question, we want to solve the equation 8x squared equals negative 10x minus 3. I know this is an equation because it has an equal sign in it. As I look at the equation, I see that I have an x squared in it. When we have that higher power, we're going to use the strategy of the zero product property. The zero product property has the form a times b equals 0. And when we have the zero product property, we're able to simplify by setting each factor equal to 0. So we need to put it in this format in order to use the zero product property. So the format has equal 0 on one side and it has a product on the other side. So my equation doesn't have the equal 0, so we're going to start by moving all the terms to the same side. So we're going to add 10x to both sides, add 3 to both sides, add 10x, add 3. This is going to give us the equation 8x squared plus 10x plus 3 equals 0. So once I have the equal 0, I have the right hand side with the equal 0. The left-hand side needs to be in a factored form, so I want to factor the left-hand side. So when I factor, the first factoring technique to use is factoring the greatest common factor. I can look at these three terms and there are no common factors between them. And then I'm going to count how many terms I have. 1, 2, 3 terms. So for methods for 3 terms, I have my basic quadratic method. Then I also have a more complicated quadratic method. And we're going to decide basic or complicated based on the coefficient of the x squared term. So our coefficient is an 8, so it's going to be the more complicated version. If it were a 1, it's the easy version. So when it's the more complicated version, I can use the AC method or grouping method, not grouping, AC method or trial and error, guess and check method. I'm going to use the AC method to solve this. So with the AC method, you're going to take A is the coefficient of your squared term, and C, which is the constant, and you multiply them together. I'll do that work on the side. 8 times 3 is 24. And what we want to do is look for two numbers that multiply to be 24 and that add to be the middle coefficient, which is 10. We want two numbers that multiply to be 24 and add to be 10. So let's look at the factors of 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, and that's all the factors of 24. So we have 4 and 6, which add up to be 10. So these are my two numbers that multiply to be 24 and add to be 10. So once I get those numbers, I'm going to turn my expression here that has 3 terms into 4 terms. And we do that by splitting the middle term. The first term and the last term stay the same. The middle term gets split using the two numbers that we just came up with. So it's going to become 8x squared plus 4x plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. And now that I have 4 terms, I'm going to use the method of factoring by grouping. Group 2 terms at a time and factor the greatest common factor out of each group. So out of the first group, let's factor out the greatest common factor of 4x. We're going to be left with 2x plus 1. Out of the second group, we have a greatest common factor of 3. We factor that out and get 2x plus 1. Still have that equals 0. Now we have a common binomial. We're going to factor out the common binomial. And in the other parentheses, we have the coefficients of the parentheses, 4x plus 3. Once we have it completely factored, we're going to apply the zero product property, and we have these two factors equal to 0. The zero product property says set the first factor equal to 0 and set the second factor equal to 0. And then you're going to solve each of these equations by getting the variable by itself. So subtract 1 on both sides, 2x is equal to negative 1. Divide by 2, x is equal to negative 1/2. You're going to subtract 3 over here. 4x is equal to negative 3. Divide by 4, x is equal to negative 3/4. So these are going to be the solutions to the equation. The solutions are negative 1/2 and negative 3/4. For question number 7, we have x cubed plus 27. The directions say to factor completely using the formula for sum or difference of cubes. So let me show you the formula, sum or difference of cubes. The formula is a cubed plus b cubed. This is the sum of cubes formula. Or difference of cubes would be a cubed minus b cubed. They have very similar formulas. So the formula is going to be a binomial, so 2 terms, then multiplied by 3 terms. And your true terms are going to be a and b. And the sum of cubes has a plus, the difference of cubes has a minus. Then we have our 3 terms, and the 3 terms will have a squared in the front, b squared in the back, and in the middle we have ab. And we have a minus here, a plus here, and plus on both of these here. So really the only difference between these two formulas has been the plus and minus symbols. So we have a mnemonic device we could use to remember, and the mnemonic device is SOAP. And SOAP stands for same, opposite, always positive. So the first sign is going to be the same as the original. So you can see the first one is plus here, the first one is minus here, the same as the original. The next sign is going to be the opposite of the original, and then the last sign is always positive. So this is the formula that we're going to use, or you can think of it as a pattern. So when we use formulas like this, first we have to match the original pattern. So we're going to match this side, and the reason we want to match is because we need to know what A and B are. And once we know what A and B are, we're going to substitute that into the pattern that we have. So the example that we have is x cubed plus 27. We want to write that as a sum of cubes. So I don't really like this color. Let's try it in black. X cubed plus 27. We want to write both these terms as perfect cubes. X cubed is already written as a perfect cube, and 27 is 3 cubed. We have x cubed plus 3 cubed. So that's going to tell me what my A is. A is x, and B is 3. So now we're going to follow the pattern. So with the pattern, we have the binomial and the trinomial, so 2 terms and 3 terms. So it's going to be A, which is x, B, which is 3, A squared, which is x squared, B squared, which is 3 squared. In the middle, we have a times b, 3 times x. And then remember our mnemonic device, SOAP, same, opposite, always positive. So I have a plus here of same, opposite, minus, always positive. Now we want to clean this up just a little bit by doing some simplifying. We have x plus 3, x squared minus 3x, and 3 squared is 9. So we'll put a plus 9 there. So we factored x cubed plus 27. It factors to be x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 9. So now we have question 8. Directions say to solve, and we have the equation for x squared minus 9 equals 0. So we have an equation. I have a higher power here, x squared. So we're going to use the zero product property. A times b equals 0. Once we get it in this format, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So to put it in this format, we need equal 0, which we already have. So let's focus on the other side, which is having a times b a factored form. So we need to write this side in a factored form. Factored means multiplied. So I'm going to factor 4x squared minus 9. The first step in factoring is always greatest common factor. There is no greatest common factor here, so I'm going to count how many terms I have. I have 2 terms. And usually when you have 2 terms, you're going to use one of your special factoring patterns. So my clue on this is that I have a squared, and then 4 is a perfect square, and 9 is a perfect square. So I'm going to use the difference of squares pattern to factor. So the difference of squares pattern is a squared minus b squared is going to factor to be a plus b times a minus b. So we have the equation 4x squared minus 9 equals 0. I want to fit the pattern first. So I want to write everything as perfect squares. So it's going to be 2 squared x squared minus 3 squared equals 0. So this helps me see that my a is 2x and my b is 3. So when I factor, it's going to factor to be 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 3 equals 0. Then once I have it factored, I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. 2x plus 3 equals 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0. And we solve, getting the variable by itself. I'm going to subtract 3. 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. X is equal to negative 3 over 2. For the other equation, 2x minus 3 equals 0, I add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 3. Divide by 2. And x is equal to 3 halves. So we have 2 solutions, negative 3 over 2 and positive 3 over 2. So in this question, this would be question 9, the directions say to simplify the following expression completely. We have the expression 15 over 5x plus 25. Now when we have fractions, to simplify fractions means that we cancel any common factors between the numerator and denominator. So in order to cancel common factors, we have to have factored form. So to simplify things like this, we want to factor the numerator and factor the denominator. So let's factor the denominator first. So we have 5x plus 25. The first step in factoring is greatest common factor. These two terms have a common factor of 5. Factor out the 5, and we're left with x plus 5. Now that I see that I have a factor of 5 in the denominator, let's write 15 in factored form. 5 times 3. And now we have a common factor of 5 that we can cancel out. And this fraction simplifies to be 3 over x plus 5. So this is question 10. Simplify the following expression completely. We have x squared minus 6x plus 8 over x squared plus 1x minus 20. So again, we have a fraction. Simplifying fractions means that we cancel out any common factors between the numerator and denominator. But in order to cancel common factors, we have to have factored form. So we're going to start by factoring the numerator and factoring the denominator. So in the numerator, we have x squared minus 6x plus 8. And I have no greatest common factor. And I have 3 terms. And my leading coefficient is a 1. So this is going to be our simple factoring pattern. So I'm going to set up 2 binomials. And the numbers that go in the front need to multiply to be x squared. It's going to be x and x. The numbers that go in the back need to multiply to be 8. But we also need to make sure the numbers add up to be a negative 6. So we're going to use 4 and 2. 4 times 2 is 8. We need negative 4 and negative 2. So negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8, and negative 4 plus negative 2 is a negative 6. So we've got it factored correctly. Now let's factor the denominator. Again, we can see that there's no greatest common factor. We have 3 terms, and the first term has a coefficient of 1. So this is, again, our basic factoring case. So we're going to set up 2 parentheses. The numbers that go in the front need to multiply to be x squared. That would be x and x. The numbers in the back need to multiply to be 20. So we're going to use 5 and 4, 5 times 4. And we need a plus on the 1, a plus on the 5, and a minus on the 4 to get that positive 1 in the middle. Once we get it factored correctly, and when you guys are doing this, make sure that you are double checking that your factoring is correct. So we do have it factored correctly, and now we look for common factors. We have common factor of x minus 4, so those cancel, and we're left with x minus 2 in the numerator and x plus 5 in the denominator. X minus 2 over x plus 5.